everybody, this is Matthew Movies coming at you with my review of Heavenly Creatures, the 1994 Peter Jackson film, that I think deserves a great deal more attention and a lot more credit. A flick that I think is fascinating. It tells a very, very interesting story in a very dynamic and cool way, and I can't believe that more people don't know about this movie. With that being said, though, I'll tell you right off the hop, the only reason why I didn't know about this movie was that it was played late night on television here in Canada on a channel called Showcase that I watched one night right after getting home from having a few drinks with the fellas, and you know, back in the day there was a channel that I used to check out all the time because it would have kind of interesting flicks, and so I was flipping through and it was on, and I didn't really know anything about it, but it looked kind of interesting, and I saw that there was some actors that I recognized at that point, so I checked it out, and man, am I happy that I did. I think this movie is very, very cool. It's very interesting. For those of you who haven't seen it, basically it focuses on a relationship of these two young girls, well, not young girls, but teen girls, who become extremely close to the point where their families are very concerned about how tight-knit they are. This movie is based in the past, and it is based on a true story, and the parents, you know, they start to become concerned that they believe that they might be lesbians, which at that time, I guess, was something that people really frowned upon a great deal more than they do now, unfortunately. So over time they decide that they want to kind of break them apart and have them go their own separate ways, but their connection is too tight, and they will not allow that to happen. So it kind of just goes from there, and it introduces you to two actors that I think are very good in this. I mean, both of them, this is actually their film debut, and that is Melanie Lynskey and Kate Winslet, neither of whom had been in a film prior to this, which is just fascinating to know. I mean, it's very cool. This is where both of their careers got jump started, and Kate obviously went on to bigger things than Melanie, but I think both of them have had very interesting careers and been a part of several films and shows that have meant things to people. So that's cool to see where their talents kind of blossomed here, and I think that their talents are very much on display here. I think they both do a fantastic job. Melanie Lynskey is actually the actress who plays the main character. She's this kind of loner kid, and you kind of see throughout the film, you kind of get much more of her kind of inner monologue and get an idea of what she's interested in more so than Kate Winslet, who I'd say plays a secondary character. And it's very cool because she has kind of this very interesting way of looking at the world. She's fascinated with music. She does like boys, and she wants to kind of find a way to have a relationship with a boy, but when she finally does, she feels let down by it, and she seems to have I would say, you know, you could compare it to a certain degree with a character like Lydia Dietz from the Beetlejuice film, where she kind of looked at the world in kind of a little bit more of a dour way, but at the same time, you know, she's a well-meaning and kind person throughout most of the movie, and so I thought her character was very interesting. And then you throw Kate Winslet into the mix, and she's much more of a kind of typical teen that you see in films. Like, you could see her character in certain sequences at least, you know, being in like a more typical teen flick that is telling like a high school story. I mean, she's kind of happy-go-lucky through a lot of it, and with the two of them sharing a screen, I think that the chemistry between the two of them it just lights up the film. I think it's very cool, and I think they're absolutely fantastic together, and you can definitely see like how tight their connection comes to be, and you can understand why their parents would think that they might be lesbians, even though you can't really understand that's just why they would be so uptight about it. But maybe, I guess, back then it meant a lot more, but still that's very unfortunate. But you know, I think both of these characters are fascinating to see, and you do get to meet the mother of Melanie Lynskey's character a great deal more than any other of the parents, and she's much more involved in the film, and she's much more relatable than, I mean, she's not as simple as the other ones where they're just disapproving of this relationship. There's more nuance to her character. She seems to enjoy the fact more that they have that connection, even though she does disapprove of it becoming romantic. So I thought her character was much more interesting, and that definitely worked for how this story plays out. And one of the other things I thought was fantastic in this movie, if you haven't seen it, is the two characters, the Kate Winslet and Melanie Lynskey. They create this kind of fantasy world that they talk about between the two of them, and they write stories about, and you actually see their fantasy world, and basically the thing that makes it different is when they go there, when they travel there, and they're envisioning the world that they've been in. There is characters that they look like they're all made out of clay, but they can walk and talk like you or I, and just the visual of that is absolutely fantastic, and it definitely points to the visual flair that Peter Jackson is known for now. So I thought that was very cool. Now, I am going to give a few spoilers spoilers here. So if you haven't seen this film and you want to go without the spoiler, and I mean this is the very ending of the movie I'm about to talk to. So if you are spoiler adverse, this is definitely going to be where you want to click off. And if that is the case, thanks for watching. But yes, this is going to be a major spoiler. So spoiler alert. But the way that this film actually plays out is fascinating. Where they basically the two groups of parents decide that they've had enough of this connection that these two girls have, and they decide that the best way to kind of rip them asunder is to move away from one another. So the two girls decide that they cannot permit that. So they actually decide to kill the parent, the Melanie Lynskey's mother, in hopes that will be able to keep them together because they won't be able to move apart. And it really took me for a loop the first time. I did not know anything about this story, and so when that took place, first off, when they even first started talking about it, I was like, wow, that's a lot darker than I was expecting from the rest of the movie. I mean, there's definitely there's a lot of dramatic flair to this film, so it's much more realistic, but I didn't expect it to go down that route whatsoever. But then when they actually do it, it's quite astonishing, especially the way they do it, which I won't reveal because that's unnecessary, but it's pretty grisly. And the fact that this actually took place in real life is fascinating, and the story of these two young girls who had this connection, and they commit this crime, and they both go to prison, and they're in different prisons, and after they were sent to prison, they were no longer allowed to contact one another, and then throughout the rest of their life, they never really had any interaction with one another. But yet, at one point, their connection was so strong that they were willing to kill the parent of one of them. I mean, it's an astonishing tale, and it's a fascinating film because you get to see how they get to that place, but by the time you get there, it's not so much that you understand or can relate to their decision, but you saw the progression, so it doesn't necessarily hit you as completely out of the blue, but it's definitely unexpected. But when you understand that, you don't even necessarily understand, but you can see their mental process to get there. So I thought this movie was just fantastically well made, a fascinating story with awesome visuals and some great performances, and it's very cool to see where these two actresses kind of got their start, and it's very cool to see one of Peter Jackson's earlier films. So I definitely think it's worth checking out, and I would advise people to give it a chance. So let me know in the comments section below what you think, if you've seen the movie, if you've heard of the movie, if my description makes you interested in the movie, whatever. Other than that, please hit that like button, hit that share button. It makes it much more likely that other people will find out this video exists and come check it out and give me some feedback, which would be awesome. So I love talking to people about films. And speaking of which, if you are new here or you just haven't done it yet, please hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. It will mean the world to me. I love talking to people about movies. I'd love you to be one of them. Other than all that, though, have yourself a good day.